Hi, hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel. I don't know if you can see the hints here, but it is the 4th of July today, and I thought I would just pop on here quickly before I go to my pool party and tell you about my June books. First I have to tell you that I was totally wrong, and the Summerween was in July. So gearing up for that, I think it's next week. But all the books that I said I was going to read in June, I didn't read because that's not till this month. So like my kind of spooky, creepier, thriller books I haven't been reading. This month it was weird. I think I say that every month, but I just feel like I read such random books, like I wasn't really theme. I wasn't super impressed with any of them either. I don't know. Okay. So to start, I finished the Schoolomance series. So this is the Golden Enclaves. So the first two are set in a school, and the school is trying to kill the students. So this is post-school, and I feel like I can't tell any of the plot, but I was a little bit nervous that once they were out of the school that it was gonna lose kind of the high stakes and what it had going for it in the beginning. But it was great. There was a lot of myth and lore that you had no idea was so important in the first two books and was hugely important and amazing. I love Naomi Novik. She's so good at fantasy, and this was a dark fantasy. And I do feel like her fantasies are normally more a creepy fantasy, which I really like because I also like gothic and just suspense and creepy and dark academia, and so I like the dark fantasy, and this is dark academia as well because it's school related. And so I gave that book 4 stars. There were just a few things that were off, it took a long time to build. If it had moved a little faster in the beginning, it would have been a 5 stars. I did love it. And then I read the book Spare, finally. This has been on my TBR for a long time. But it took a long time to read. It was very dense. There are a lot of words on these pages. I mean, that's not a great example because it's all talking, but it's very dense. So there's 3 parts. The first part is growing up. The second part is all of his service in the military. And the third part is him and Megan. So I feel the first part went pretty fast. The second part just kind of lagged a little bit. It was still interesting, but I guess if you're into helicopters, it would have been more exciting. And then the third part was really interesting, but it's also was kind of covered by their documentary. So I gave it 4 stars. It was enjoyable. Yeah, I gave it a 3 for how exciting it was, though. So don't go into this and be it's gonna be so exciting. I do find it just very interesting, right? So this is his perspective, and that's not necessarily everyone's perspective. I loved looking into this. That doesn't make me like William or Kate any less. I think they're just people. So I still love Kate, and I do love Megan. I'm on both sides of this. But I also understand why they left, and you're totally entitled to leave, right? And it does seem like it was very scary, and they have a lot of emotional trauma. A lot. From being raised royal, from their mom dying, from war, a lot. So, yeah, I would recommend that one. Then I listened to The Family Game. I feel this cover is a little bit blurry, but it's a mansion. So not really sure where this was going to go. It was a good thriller. There was a lot of build, and then at the end it kind of explodes. Good twist. Didn't know that was where it was going to go. So I gave it 4 stars. I didn't love the main character, and I feel when I don't love the main character, then it just takes a star off. So I gave it 4 stars. It was exciting. It was a good thriller. I would recommend it. It was a good audiobook too. it kept me interested. I kept reading it. And then I had Carly Fortune's next book. So she wrote Every Summer After, which was one of my favorite books from last year. So I think it was last year. So I wanted to read this. It was great. It was a little bit more like predictable. Didn't love the storyline quite as much. So it's a 4-star instead of a 5-star, but very good. Great. Just like nostalgic romance. So the girl's mom has passed and she is taking over their like resort. So similar to like if you like Dirty Dancing, like that kind of like where people like live there all summer. So she's taking that over even though she doesn't really want it. And so she's trying to figure out what she wants to do. And then an old love from the past comes up. No idea what happens with that, huh? So yeah, it was a little predictable, but it was good. There's some spice in it. I liked it a lot. I feel like it would be a good beach read. And then I listened to We Sold Our Souls. So I really like Grady Hendrix. I have loved My Best Friend's Exorcism and the Book Club's Guide to Slaying the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. Like I liked both of them. They're like weird and creepy, but kind of funny. Love them. So I've been just trying to work my way through Grady Hendrix. This is not one I would recommend. So I gave it 2 stars. I thought about DNFing it, but it wasn't like long enough to DNF. I hated the characters. I hated the premise. So our main character is Chris. She's just like done nothing with her life recently. She was in a band in, I don't know, the 70s, 80s. And at one point they sold their souls. It was confusing. Just don't feel like there were super high stakes because I didn't like the characters. So it didn't bother me when they died. So yeah, I mean, I guess if you love rock and roll, maybe you'll love it. I don't know. Not my favorite. There are other good books out there that you could read. And then I've been doing a lot of projects around the house, so just had my earbuds in. So another audiobook, The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley. So I painted a hallway, and in that time I basically finished this book. So The Hunting Party is this group of friends from college who come together for they normally do like a yearly getaway, and they're in a super remote place. They of course get snowed in, and people start dying, and they all have reasons to murder each other. So trying to figure out who's doing it, etc. And then there's also caregivers or the caretakers of the resort that have reasons that they would want to kill people too. So it was interesting. I think I gave it 4 stars. So just a straightforward thriller. Not the biggest twist in the world, but also there was some ambiguity. So it could have been a lot of different characters. So I thought it was well written. And then I read Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. They did it again. I gave this 5 stars. I read it so fast. These characters are so lovable. And the banter, the spice, the premise. So it's these 2 friends who have ruled each other out for dating, right from the beginning. And they are trying to find each other dates. So they go on all these double dates, and they're awful, and chaos ensues. And the main characters the one is super straight-laced, and the other one is crazy. She's just eccentric, and she just assumes that he'll never love her. And yeah, it was just fun. I love this one so much. So this was a great summer read. Highly recommend. Good one. 5 stars. Then I read, I had good ones and bad ones. So then I listened to Medical Bondage. So this is about race and gender in American gynecology. So great premise. I'm an OB nurse, so this was super interesting. And I want to know more history about it because there's this horrific history of gynecologists in the past, the way that they got good at gynecology was by practicing on Black slaves and just like really abusing their power, and they didn't believe that Black women felt pain, so they didn't use anesthetic, which was horrific. And so it's super interesting that while they were saying that Black women and white women are two like different species, they could also practice on Black women in order to perfect their craft. So like it doesn't compute, it doesn't make sense. It's just amazing the things that we can tell ourselves and deny in order to have power over other people. So great premise. It could have been great, but it was so poorly written. I felt like it was just like facts. Like it was like, then he did this. And it was like, I just feel like she could have written it as a story. Like, let's get some like firsthand accounts. Let's tell like the stories of these women. But I feel like it was just like, and then he did this to this woman. And it's like, well, I want to know more about that woman. I want to know. And I don't know, maybe that wasn't the point of this, but then it felt like she was also repeating. It was very boring for the subject matter that was actually happening, but not like, it didn't feel like it was like an academic level, and that's why it was so boring. So I gave it a 2. Like, not the worst thing. I wouldn't like actively tell you not to read it, but it's not exciting. And I just feel like there's got to be better ways to present this material because it's great material. I kind of switched gears then and read Things We Hide from the Light. So this is the second, I don't know if this, do they have the Knock 'Em Out series. So the first one is Things We Never Got Over. I think I gave it 4 stars. It was very good. And this one I gave 3 to. Like, overall, I liked this book. I would recommend it. I just didn't like the main characters. So, like, the main characters in the first book, loved them. And then this is the brother, the sheriff. And I liked the storyline. I just didn't like the way they interacted, and I don't like the characters themselves. And I don't know that I can, like, exactly say what I don't like. I just, like, got the ick. Like, they both have a lot of emotional trauma, and they feel like they're gonna, like, heal each other from it, which I don't love. You don't get to the smut until like 300 pages in, which, like, if you don't like the characters, you need something else to happen. So it was just such a long book for the plot that happened. But I will read the third one. I'm very, very interested in Lucien's story. I feel like he's the most interesting character. Then I listened to, for one of my prompts for one of my reading challenges, I needed to read something that was older than me. So 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea was written in 1870. So that one's older than me. I have no idea what I thought this book was going to be about. This is not it, but also it. Like, it made sense. Yeah, so our main character is on a whaling ship, and they're, like, chasing down this beast of a whale that ends up being a submarine. And the submarine captain, like, basically takes them captive and keeps them on the submarine for, like, a year, I think. Like, months or a year. And they travel throughout the oceans. It's very interesting, like, the places they go. There's allegedly, like, these, like, secret caverns that they can sneak across continents underwater. It was a great adventure. So I liked it. I gave it a 3 just because it had, like, great subject matter, but it could have been more exciting. So I'm sure it was super, super exciting in 1870. And now it's like a little more jazz would have been nice. But maybe because I hated the main characters. Again, I just need to find some characters that I love. That's my problem this month. So I've been feeling kind of desperate about my reading because it's been, like, books I have super high expectations about, and then they're like they're good, but they're not amazing. Like, I want new favorites. That's what I want in the summertime. I want to read a book and just be like, this is my favorite book ever. So I saw, like, a TikTok of someone that said, these are my best books so far this year, and a bunch of them that she had read, the ones I had read, I loved. The ones I hadn't read, I've heard like really good things about, like Fourth Wing, which I have coming in the mail. So it should be coming in the next week, I think. So one of them on there was The Nanny by Lana Ferguson. So the premise is that our main character had an OnlyFans page and she shut it down, but she still needs to like get through school. And now she's going to be a nanny to this hot guy and his daughter. And I bet you have no idea where it's going to go. It was really good. It was entertaining. I liked the premise. I took a 1 star off just because there was like a little trope at the end that I don't like miscommunication, you know. But it was good. I liked the characters. I liked the premise. I liked the banter. The spice was good. And it was just, it's not short, but it read so fast. Like I feel like the words are big enough, and most of it is like conversation, and also like some like online like texting stuff. So like sometimes the pages are like that. So it reads really fast. I really liked it. It's called The Nanny. And I gave it 4 stars. I think I said that. And then I didn't bring it up here, but then I read the book The Tobacco Wives. And it actually has a beautiful cover. It's like teal with like nicotine, or not nicotine, tobacco leaves. And then it has like a big like old fashioned lighter. So it's set in the 1950s, 60s. So in the South, where like tobacco plantations are like the way of life. And our main character's mom like drops her off with her aunt. Her aunt gets sick, and so she has to take over her aunt's like seamstress business for the summer. And there's this gala that they're preparing for, so she is like designing gowns, which was, I really liked that aspect of it. I liked listening to her interact with like about the gowns, and like meeting the tobacco wives. The one woman that she ends up staying with is kind of like, so she's married to the man who owns the tobacco like company, and so she is pregnant, and our main character happens upon some information about how tobacco is bad with pregnancy, which should not be a shock to anyone at this point. And then what do you do with this information? What does the wife do with this information? I gave the book 3 stars. It had like great subject matter, but it was like weirdly low stakes. I didn't like how it tied up. And like, yeah, I loved the little things. I loved the interactions. I loved the history of it, but it was so low stakes, and it took such a long time to build to the like high stakes moment. And then it was like, oh, I got it. It's resolved in like a page. Like, I don't know. I feel like you could have done more, especially with such a beautiful cover and like the premise. I don't know. I feel like I'm so disappointed by these things that are crossing over to my like interests, like labor and delivery. Come on. Why were the Medical Bondage and Tobacco Wives both like kind of under-delivered in a place that they could have done so well? So that was disappointing. And then I listened to one more book, and this is a book that's been on my TBR for a while. So it is Shatter Me. So these are the books that sometimes they have like an I, and it's like Shatter Me, like lots of other me. So I had no idea going into this what it was. I just knew it was fantasy series. There are a lot of books. I don't know how many books, but it feels like a lot when you look at them on like Goodreads. Like, it's a lot of them. So our main character kills people with her touch. So that's the premise. And she is like, we start with her in prison, and then she's released so that she can be part of like a political movement, like used as a weapon. So it's about her like figuring out like who to trust, if she's in love with someone. There's some love interest. There's like, can she touch people who she can't touch? Trying to control her powers, what her power means. So I am very interested where the rest of this series is going. I'm just slightly disappointed that there's so many books, because why, like, fantasy is always such a freaking commitment. I just don't want to commit that much to another series. But it's good enough that I'm going to keep going because I gave it 4 stars. So that was Shatter Me. And those are the books I read in June. I didn't count, but it does not feel like a normal amount. I feel like I shifted a little bit more to like TV, and I also have been doing a bunch of projects, so I haven't been reading, or I've been spending time like with family or friends, and then it's hard to read. So I've just listened to some audiobooks, and I'm really hoping that July is gonna be a better month for me. I'm hoping that like summer reading, doing like thrillers is gonna like jumpstart reading again. And then next video, I will be showing you my updated bookshelves because we just went to IKEA. So I got another big bookshelf and a little bookshelf, and I feel like I don't quite have enough books to fill them at this point, but I have so many like piles that don't fit, so it'll be really nice to have them all in order and have my rainbow a little bit more complete. So tune in next month for that. It actually might be sooner because I might do a video of like my bookshelves and the books that I have. We'll see. Anyway, happy 4th of July. I'm going to go celebrate. It's very hot. So I'm going to go lay by the pool, probably get in the pool, eat a lot of food, drink a lot, and have a lot of popsicles and ice cream. So happy 4th!